My name is Olivia Carter, and I am a 35-year-old woman from Seattle. Before I tell you how everything in my life flipped upside down, I want to welcome you here. Where are you watching from? Canada? The United States? Let me know, because this one is different. It starts on a quiet morning that should have been normal. I was sipping tea, looking at my phone, when something happened, something I never expected. My mom forgot to hang up a phone call with me. And I heard everything. Her voice was clear, sharp, and cold. "She is a problem," she said. "She is always too emotional, too kind, too soft. She is a burden." My heart felt like someone held it tight and squeezed. I did not speak. I didn't cry. I just stayed still, like my soul had frozen. She kept talking, not knowing I was still on the call, and every word felt like a knife. She wasn't complaining about a stranger. She was talking about me. That moment changed me. It broke me, but it also woke me up. I stayed home quietly. I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. I didn't even tell her I heard everything. I just packed my things, called my real estate agent, and sold my $800,000 house. It was the home I worked my whole life for, the symbol of every long shift, every night I slept on office floors, every dream I chased alone. I sold it. The money came in one huge sum, and I sent every dollar to her. No note, no explanation, no goodbye. Then I disappeared. I took the next flight to London. I stayed there for months, learning to live with the pain of hearing my own mother call me a burden. I walked the streets, laughed with strangers, tried new foods, stood by the river at night, and told myself I would return stronger. And when I finally did return, I laughed, because I thought I was ready. Until I reached my mother's home. I slid my key into the lock. It didn't fit. I tried again, and again, and again. My hand began to shake. I knocked. No answer. I stepped back and looked at the windows. Empty. The curtains were gone. No furniture. No lights. Nothing inside. The whole house was empty. And on the door was a small note, taped crookedly, as if someone placed it in a hurry. I pulled it off and opened it. For words hit me like thunder. Surprise. A burden did this. And that is where everything in my life began to unravel. Let me now take you back to the beginning, before the note, before the empty house, before London. Before everything shattered. I grew up in a small neighborhood in Seattle. My mom, Margaret, was someone people always praised. So strong. So wise. So caring. Everyone loved her. And I did too. My younger brother, Daniel, was her golden child. Smart, handsome, funny, and always protected. I loved him deeply, even when he teased me or ignored me for his friends. I was the older daughter who tried to hold the family together, believing kindness was strength, not weakness. Our family wasn't perfect, but I always believed love could fix anything. I was wrong. Growing up, I learned to clean the house, cook meals, and carry responsibilities no child should carry. Mom always said, "Olivia, be useful." And I tried my best to be. I believed doing good made people love you. As an adult, I worked hard. I saved, struggled, and finally bought my dream house. I thought my mom was proud. I thought my success made her happy. I was wrong about that too. One less extreme moment came during a Sunday dinner, months before the phone call. Mom looked at me and said, "You work too much. You're always tired. Why don't you give that house to your brother? He needs it more." She said it with a smile that felt like a test. I laughed it off. But inside something felt wrong. Like a small shadow in the corner of my mind. Still I stayed kind. I forgave easily. Helped everyone. I believed family meant giving even when it hurts. But nothing could have prepared me for the day my mom forgot to hang up. That was the moment everything shifted. One afternoon, not long after, I was driving home from the office. The sky was cloudy and my heart felt heavy. My phone rang. It was Mom. I answered, thinking she needed something. We talked for a minute. She told me she was tired, asked if I could come by later, and then said, "Okay, bye." But the call didn't end. I was about to hang up when I heard her sigh. Then another voice, her friend Mrs. Parker, asked, Everything okay, Margaret? And my mom said the words that still haunt me. Olivia is just a problem. She is too much. Sometimes I wish she would just disappear. I almost stopped my car in the middle of the road. My own mother wished I would disappear. I pulled over, leaned my head on the steering wheel, and listened to them talk about me like I was nothing. Like I was a mistake. In that moment something inside me broke. But something else, something stronger woke up. I decided I would give her what she wanted. I would disappear. But I would do it in a way she never expected. Now we return to the present, standing in front of the empty house, holding that note with shaking hands. The neighborhood was silent. The wind cold. My heart pounding. The money I sent her, every dollar of it, was gone. The house she lived in was completely empty. And someone, maybe her, maybe someone else, wrote that message. Surprise. A burden did this. My breath caught as I realized something was very, very wrong. But before I could step away from the door, before I could even think clearly, I heard a sudden sound behind me. Car door slamming. And when I turned around, someone was standing at the end of the driveway, watching me. Not moving, not speaking, just staring. The figure at the end of the driveway didn't move. They stood perfectly still, their face hidden behind shadows and the hood of a thick jacket. For a moment I couldn't breathe. My fingers tightened around the note. My heart thudded loudly in my ears. I took one small step back. The person took one small step forward. That was the extreme moment, the kind that freezes your blood before your brain can even form words. I didn't know if it was my mother, a stranger, someone she hired, or someone who had been waiting for me to return. All I knew was that the house was empty, the money was gone, and now someone was watching me. Before I could speak, before I could run, the person slowly turned away, got into a black car, and drove off without a single sound except the tires touching the gravel, leaving me alone, holding a note, standing in front of an empty house that no longer belonged to me. That was the moment I realized my disappearance had not gone unnoticed. But before we go further into this, let me take you back again. Back to the months before London. Back to the days that shaped the way I responded to my mother's voice calling me a burden. I grew up believing kindness was my superpower. I believed every kind act came back to you one day. I believed people changed when you showed them love. At least, that's what I told myself. I learned it from the cartoons I watched, the teachers who adored me, and the books that said good people always win. Maybe that's why it hurt so deeply to hear my mother's true thoughts. After that phone call, I didn't confront her. I swallowed everything like I had done my whole life. I still showed up to help her with her groceries. I still sent her money when she asked. I still hugged her and pretended not to notice how stiff she became in my arms. One afternoon I remember bringing her fresh flowers. Roses, her favorites. She barely looked up from her phone when I walked in. "Oh, you're here," she said. Not "thank you." Not "I love you." Oh. I placed the flowers in a vase and smiled anyway. But even then I started to see things more clearly. The way she talked to Daniel with so much softness but spoke to me with irritation. The way she saved her warmest smiles for others but not me. The way she accepted everything I gave her as if she were entitled to it. Still I stayed. Still I forgave. Still I believed being good mattered. But the truth is, sometimes kindness makes you a target. Then came the night that changed everything. After hearing her call me a problem, I stayed up crying, my chest tight, my eyes burning. But somewhere between my tears and the silence of my bedroom, I made a decision. If she thought I was a burden, then I would remove myself. Not in a dramatic or painful way, but in a way that would give her exactly what she said she wanted. I sold my house, the home I had poured my entire heart into. I signed the papers quietly. I didn't tell anyone, not even my best friend. My real estate agent was shocked. "This is a beautiful house, Olivia," she said. "Are you sure?" "Delight. I need a change." The house sold faster than I expected. When the money hit my account, I stared at the numbers and felt nothing. I transferred all of it to my mother, every dollar. $800,000. I imagined her face when she saw it. Surprised, confused, happy. Or would she just think, finally, she did something useful? Either way, it didn't matter. Because I booked the next flight to London and disappeared. London was the first place I ever felt invisible in a comforting way. No one knew me. No one had expectations of me. I walked freely, breathed deeply, and finally felt something close to peace. Every morning I woke up to the sound of the city, the buses, the chatter, the rushing footsteps. I explored museums, sat by the Thames, and wrote in my journal. I told myself I was healing. I tried new foods, laughed with strangers, and slept without checking my phone every hour. But there were nights, long, quiet nights, when my mother's voice echoed in my mind. She is a problem, a burden. I wish she would disappear. Those words never left me. Still, I pushed through the hurt. I worked on myself. I reminded myself that kindness was still good, even if it was not always rewarded. But after months, something inside me whispered, go back, face everything, see what your absence created. So I returned, and found an empty home, changed lock, a note taped to the door, and someone watching me. Now back to the driveway. My hands shook as I looked at the car disappearing down the street. There was no way to tell who was inside. The windows were tinted, the license plate unreadable from where I stood. Fear crawled up my spine, but I forced myself to breathe. I slid the note into my pocket and walked around the house. I peeked through the windows, completely empty. No furniture, no boxes, not even dust on the floors, as though everything had been cleaned out recently and quickly. It didn't look like my mother had moved. It looked like someone had erased her. But another darker thought entered my mind. What if she erased herself? What if she didn't want to be found? What if she left because I came back? I tried calling her. The number went straight to voicemail. I tried Daniel. No answer. I stood there wondering what to do when something unusual caught my attention. A small metal glint near the base of the front porch step. I bent down and picked it up. Not mine. Not one I recognized. New one. Attached to it was a tiny tag with a handwritten letter. Oh! My initial. My throat tightened. What did this key open? Why was it hidden? Who left it for me? Before I could think further, a loud sound split through the air. A glass window somewhere behind the house shattered. That was the end of chapter extreme event. Someone else was here. Someone was inside. The sound of breaking glass shot through the air like lightning. Froze. My mind raced, my palms went cold, and for a moment, I couldn't decide whether to run toward the sound or run away from it. The house was empty, completely empty, so why was someone inside now? Who would even come to an abandoned place like this? My feet moved before my brain could catch up. I took slow steps around the side of the house, the gravel crunching under my shoes louder than usual. Every sound felt like it could give me away. The backyard came into view. Silent, still, and strangely colder than the front. The grass hadn't been cut in months, the fence was old, and the windows were dark. Then I saw it. The back window, the one that used to open into my mother's kitchen, broken. A fresh, sharp crack around the edges, glass scattered on the inside and outside. Someone had entered. Someone was inside. My breath hitched. I crouched low behind the old wooden picnic table. I clutched the new key in my hand so tightly my knuckles hurt. I didn't know what I planned to do, fight, run, scream. I wasn't sure. All I knew was that something wasn't right. Someone was inside, and they might have been watching me long before I returned home. The house stayed quiet for a few seconds. Counted them. 3. Then footsteps. Slow, heavy footsteps moving across an otherwise empty floor. I pressed my back against the picnic table, trying not to breathe too loudly. The footsteps moved closer to the broken window, then stopped. My heart hammered so loudly I thought whoever was inside could hear it. I needed to move. I needed to get away before whoever was in there came outside. I slowly shifted my legs, tried to stand without making noise. Crack. A piece of wood beneath me snapped. Froze. The footsteps inside suddenly sped up. They were heading toward the back door. That was the extreme moment I didn't see coming. I jumped up and ran around the side of the house. My chest burned, my footsteps pounded, and my breath came out in short, sharp gasps. I reached the front yard again and looked back, terrified the door would open behind me. But it didn't. The house stayed still, dark and silent. I grabbed my bag and sprinted across the street to my rental car. I jumped in, slammed the door and locked it. My hands shook on the steering wheel. What was going on? Who broke into the house? Why were they there the exact moment I returned? I sat in the car for a while, letting the fear pulse through me. Eventually the panic settled, though not completely. Slowly, a strange thought settled into my mind. A key. The one labeled, "Oh." Had to open something. Maybe a storage locker. Maybe another house. Maybe a car. Maybe something my mother left behind. But why hide it under the porch? Why leave the house empty? Why disappear? I needed answers. The person inside the house had forced my next step. I couldn't stay in the neighborhood. Whoever that was, they were watching. They might have been waiting. My disappearance had clearly stirred something far bigger than I ever expected. The safe thing to do would have been to drive away and call the police. But nothing about this situation had felt normal. My mother hated police attention. Daniel hated it too. If I reported a break-in at a house that didn't even belong to me anymore, it would raise questions I wasn't ready to answer. So instead I drove. Not far, but enough to calm my nerves. A few streets away, I parked near a small coffee shop and sat inside with my back against the wall. I kept the key on the table in front of me. It stared back at me like it carried a secret. As I sipped my drink, the less extreme moment finally came, the kind that forces you to breathe and think clearly. I remembered something. Months before the phone call, the one where my mother forgot to hang up, she had suddenly asked me a strange question. "Olivia, if anything ever happened to me, would you know where to find my things?" I laughed at the time. "Mom, why are you talking like that?" She sighed and shook her head. "I just want to make sure you can find what matters." "What matters?" Yes. She didn't answer. She only smiled, an odd, tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. I brushed it off then. But now that memory returned like a puzzle piece that never fit until today. What was she hinting at? Where had she kept her things? Did this key lead to them? I stared at the key long and hard. The coffee shop hummed with quiet conversation, soft music, and the sound of steaming milk. Everything felt normal around me. Normal except for the storm happening inside my chest. I knew I had to figure out what the key opened. I couldn't move forward until I solved that. So I pulled out my phone and opened my map. There was only one place that made sense. The storage facility my mother had used years ago. A place she never talked about, never visited in front of me, and never let me near. She always said it was just old junk, but something about it had always felt secretive. Just as I stood up to leave, something happened. Something small but unsettling. The barista walked over and said, "Ma'am? That man outside, he keeps looking through the window at you. Do you know him?" My body went cold. I turned my head slowly toward the window. A tall man stood across the street. Black jacket, hands in pockets, staring directly at me. Not blinking, not moving, just watching. The same way the person in the driveway had watched me. That wasn't a coincidence. He took one step toward the coffee shop. The man stepped off the curb. His eyes locked on mine like he had been waiting for this exact moment. My breath caught. The coffee cup in my hand trembled, and for a second my mind went blank. The barista's voice faded into the background. The shop, the customers, the warm lights, everything disappeared except him. He took another slow step forward. No blink, no smile, no hesitation. I grabbed the key off the table, shoved it into my pocket, snatched my bag and moved. Chairs scraped the floor as I rushed past them. My heart thundered in my chest. I pushed the door open so hard the bell above it rang wildly. The cool air outside slapped my face, but I didn't stop to breathe. The man saw me. He started walking faster. Then faster. Then he began to run. That was the extreme moment, the one that shot fear all the way down to my bones. Ran. I sprinted down the sidewalk, dodging people, my bag hitting my hip with every step. I could hear his footsteps behind me, heavy, determined, getting closer. I didn't dare look back. I didn't want to know how close he was. I just kept running. I rounded a corner and finally glanced behind me. He was still there. Running. Focused. Not slowing down. I reached my rental car, fumbled with the keys, dropped them, cursed under my breath, grabbed them again and forced the door open. I threw myself inside and locked the doors so fast I scraped my finger on the latch. He reached the end of the parking lot just as I slammed the gas pedal. The car leapt forward. I didn't stop until he was a shrinking figure in my rearview mirror. Still watching, still unmoving, as if he already knew we would meet again. Even after I was far away, my hands shook on the steering wheel. My chest felt tight. My mind raced with 1,000 questions. Who was he? Why was he following me? Was he connected to my mother's disappearance? Or was he connected to the money? So many things didn't make sense, but the key in my pocket suddenly felt heavier, like it held every answer I needed. I forced myself to breathe. Low. Steady. Focused. Then I drove toward the one place that mattered now. The storage facility. It was on the edge of the city, tucked behind a long stretch of highway where few people ever stopped. The building was old, the paint faded, the sign half broken. A cold wind blew across the parking lot as I pulled in. For a moment, I just sat there, staring at the rows of metal doors lined up like secret keepers. This was where she hid things from me. Where she told me important things were. Where she never let me go. I stepped out, hugged my arms against the cold, and walked inside the small office. A woman who looked about 60 sat behind a desk reading a magazine. She looked up when I approached. "Can I help you, honey?" "Yes," I said, trying to steady my voice. "I need to check a storage unit. My mother, Margaret Carter, she used to keep one here years ago." The woman typed on her computer. Her face softened. "Oh, Margaret," she said. "Haven't seen her in so long. Sweet woman." If only she knew. "She still has a unit?" Yes. The woman nodded. "Yep. Paid in full for years ahead. Never missed a payment." That shocked me. My mother had always been careful with money. Why would she pay years in advance for a storage unit? "Do you know which one is hers?" Yes. "Yes, I do." She handed me a small index card with a number written on it. Unit 47A. "It should be unlocked for you, if you have the key." I swallowed. "I did." "Thank you," I whispered. She smiled warmly. "Be safe out there." If only she knew how dangerous things had become. I walked across the cold pavement toward the rows of storage units. My breath fogged in the air as I counted the numbers. 41A, 42A, 43A. Every step made my heart beat louder. Every breath felt heavier. 44A, 45A, 46A. Then finally, 47A. A small, rusty door with a lock that matched the shape of the key in my pocket. My fingers trembled as I slid it in. I turned it slowly. Click. The lock opened easily, almost too easily. I pulled the door up, the metal groaning loudly as it lifted. Then I froze. Instead of boxes, furniture, or old belongings, there was only one thing inside the storage unit. A single wooden table. And on it, letter. With my name on it. Olivia. Written in my mother's handwriting. My breath caught in my throat. I stepped inside slowly. My footsteps echoed in the empty metal room. My fingers trembled as I picked up the envelope. My heart hammered. This was it. The moment everything might finally make sense. I tore the envelope open. Inside was a single sheet of paper. And the words written on it were not at all what I expected. "Olivia, if you are reading this, it means you came back for me. But you should not have. Danger is coming. And I don't know how much time I have left to explain everything." I felt my knees weaken. Danger. For her. For me. Kept reading. Everything you think you know about our family is wrong. Everything you believed about your childhood is only half the truth. The money you sent, they wanted it. And they will come for you now that you're back. My eyes widened. Who were they? Why did they want the money? I read the last line. Do not trust anyone. Not even the people you grew up with. Especially not the one watching you. He knows more than you think. My body went cold. The man. The one from the coffee shop. The one from the driveway. He wasn't random. He knew me. He knew my mother. He knew everything. Before I could process anything else. A shadow moved across the entrance of the storage unit. Low. Silent. Blocking the light. Someone was standing there. And when I turned around, the man from the coffee shop was right in front of me. His shadow swallowed the entrance of the storage unit. The same man who had stared at me outside the coffee shop. The same man who had chased me through the streets. Now stood only a few feet away, blocking the only exit. My breath hitched. The letter trembled in my hand. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. He just stared at me like he already knew what I had read. He took one step back. He took one step inside. The metal door rattled behind him as he pulled it halfway down, sealing us in a dim, narrow strip of light. My chest tightened. The letter from my mother suddenly felt like both a warning and a goodbye. Who are you? I finally managed to whisper. The man lifted his chin slightly, studying me. When he finally spoke, his voice was low. Too calm for someone who had just chased me across town. You shouldn't have come back, Olivia. My stomach dropped. He knew my name. He knew my mother. He knew everything. I gripped the letter tighter. Where is my mom? His jaw tensed. For the first time, something flickered in his eyes. Pain? Regret? I couldn't tell. That depends, he said. On what you do next. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I had nowhere to go. The room felt smaller, the air thicker. I took a shaky breath and forced myself not to show the fear that was clawing up my throat. If you hurt her, I warned, my voice barely holding steady. I swear. I didn't hurt her, he snapped, his voice suddenly sharp. I protected her. Protected. The word echoed in my mind like a bell. Then he said something that shocked me even more. Your mother trusted me. She left the key for me to find, not you. She didn't expect you to come back. My breath caught. She knew they were watching, he continued. She knew the money you sent would draw them out. She wanted to keep them focused on her. Not on you. What money? I demanded. Who wanted it? Who are they? The man stepped closer, lowering his voice. You're in danger because of something your mother did a long time ago. Something she hid from you. And from your brother. My pulse jumped. Daniel, where is he? Is he okay? The man shook his head. I don't know where Daniel is. He vanished before your mother did. Vanished. The word sliced through me like cold metal. Tell me everything, I whispered. All of it. He exhaled slowly, like he had been carrying a heavy secret for years. Your mother used to work for a private financial group, he began. Not a bank, not officially. They handled money for people who didn't want their names connected to anything. Dangerous people. Wealthy people. People who use money to make problems disappear. My heart pounded. I didn't want this story. I didn't want this truth. She left them years ago, he continued. But she kept something valuable. Not for herself, for you and Daniel. Something they wanted back. What was it? I asked. He looked me directly in the eyes. Evidence. The word slammed into me. What kind of evidence? Enough to destroy them, he said quietly. Enough to put the wrong people in prison. A chill rippled through me. My mother had been many things. Strict, cold, distant, but never careless. If she hid evidence, she had a reason. And the money I sent her? Yes. They thought she used it to run, he said. They thought she used it to buy protection. But she didn't, I whispered. I sent it to her. He nodded slowly. That's why they came for you next. My knees felt weak. I reached for the table to steady myself. So where is she? I whispered again. Is she alive? He hesitated. Too long. Too quietly. Then he said. She was alive when I last saw her. My stomach twisted so hard I felt sick. When was that? Pressed. A month ago. Month. That meant she had been gone long before I came back. Long before I reached the empty house. Long before I read the note. He looked at me with something like pity. She told me to watch for you. To keep you safe if you ever returned. But I'm not the only one watching. My breath trembled. You mean the people who want the evidence? He nodded. Yes. And now they know you're back. They know you have the letter. They will not stop. My mind spun. The world felt sideways. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. But I did neither. Instead I straightened up. Then help me, I said firmly. Help me find my mother. His eyes widened slightly. Not expecting me to be brave or stubborn or maybe both. She told me you'd say that, he murmured. She said you'd come back even after everything. Even after she hurt you. A faint, almost broken smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. She said you were the only good thing she ever did. My chest tightened. Tears pricked my eyes, but I forced myself to focus. What do we do next? He looked toward the exit, scanning the shadows outside. We move fast, he said. They'll come here soon. He stepped aside, motioning for me to follow him out of the storage unit. But before I moved, something caught my eye. Under the table, taped to the metal leg, was another envelope. Smaller, thicker, with 3 words written in my mother's handwriting. For my daughter. My breath trembled. I bent down, pulled it free, and slipped it into my jacket. I didn't open it yet. I couldn't, not now. Not with danger closing in. The man nodded at me, urgency in his eyes. We need to go. I took one last look at the empty storage unit, at the place where the secrets began. Then I stepped into the sunlight, clutching the envelope close to my chest, knowing whatever was inside would change everything again. The door rattled shut behind us. And with that, the real search for my mother began. Hope you enjoy the story. Please like and subscribe to my channel.